Avam Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Shodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Shodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvajarkacharya Asatarashata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Gaur Premananda All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 7, The Son of Drona Punished, Text 40. Sutta Uvacha Evam Parikshita Dharmam Partha Krishnena Choditaha Naitschad Dantum Guru Sutam Yadyapi Atma Hanam Maha Sutta Vacha Evam Parikshita Dharmam Partha Krishnena Choditaha Naitra Dantum Guru Sutam Yadyapyat Mahanam Maham Sutta Vacha Evam Parikshita Dharmam Partha Krishnena Choditaha Naitchadantum Guru Sutam Yadyapyatmasthanam Maham Sutta Vacha Evam Parikshita Dharmam Partha Krishnena Choditaha Naitschadantum Guru Sutam Yadyapyat Mahanam Mahan Evam Parikshita Dharma Partha Krishnena Chodita Naitschadantum Guru Sutam Yadyapyat Mahanam Mahan Vacha Ambrikshita Dharma Nena Chodita Sutta Vacha Ambrikshita Dharma Krishnena Chodita Sutam Yapyatma Vacha Vam Parikshita Dharma Amritsayodita Sutam Yapyatma Sutta Vacha Evam Parikshita Dharma Krishnena Chodita Aicham Dantum Guru Sutam Yadyapyat Mahanam Vaishnavis Amparikshita Dharma Dharma Krishnena Chodita Tadaksham Hudam Yamamanamaham Satavacha Ram Parikshita Dharma Krishnena Chodita Vacha Parikshita Dharma Krishnena Chodita Sutaha Sutta Goswami Uvacha said Evam this Parikshita being examined Dharma in the matter of duty Partha Sri Arjuna Krishnena by Lord Krishna Choditaha being encouraged Na Aischat did not like Hantum to kill Guru Sutam the son of his teacher Yadyapi although Atmahanam murderer of sons Mahan very great Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Sutta Goswami said, although Krishna, who was examining Arjuna in religion, encouraged Arjuna to kill the son of Dronacharya, Arjuna, a great soul, did not like the idea of killing him, although Ashvatthama was a heinous murderer of Arjuna's family members. Purport. Arjuna was a great soul, undoubtedly, which is proved here also. He is encouraged herein by the Lord to kill the son of Drona, but Arjuna considers that the son of his great teacher should be spared, for he happens to be the son of Dronacharya, even though he is an unworthy son, having done all sorts of heinous acts whimsically for no one's benefit. Lord Sri Krishna encouraged Arjuna outwardly just to test Arjuna's sense of duty. It is not that Arjuna was incomplete in the sense of his duty, nor was Lord Sri Krishna unaware of Arjuna's sense of duty. But Lord Sri Krishna puts many of his pure devotees to the test, just to magnify their sense of duty. The gopis were put to such test as well. Prahlad Maharaj also was put to such a test. All pure devotees come out successful in the respective test by the Lord. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So once more, we're beginning our trek through the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam. For those of you who have been here for many years, you'll recall that some years ago we started on the first canto, and then we gradually worked our way through all of the different cantos up to the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we're making this journey again. Maybe for some of you it's the first time, but if you stay the course, you'll go through all the different cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And here, in this chapter, we're finding Krishna's first appearance in the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam. He's performing a very interesting pastime here. It's very fascinating, this episode that's taking place at the end of the Battle of Kurukshetra, where Arjuna is being confronted with a decision how to treat a wrongdoer. And it's something that we all confront. We're all at one time or another confronted with decisions about how to treat a perceived wrongdoer, whether it's a member of our family, the member of a corporation that we work with. Perhaps we're in the military and we're confronted with a decision about what to do about some offender. It's something we all confront. And in our International Society for Krishna Consciousness, we also sometimes confront some decisions. So in this particular case, it's Arjuna who is the one who has been put in the position of making a decision about what to do with the wrongdoer, Ashvatthama. And generally, in circumstances like this, we find there are two different kinds of possibilities that are being expressed. Some people will argue for leniency, and others will argue for the strictest application of the relevant laws and the strictest punishment that is available under the relevant laws or customs. So this often happens in society or any group. We find, okay, somebody has done something wrong. Some people argue for leniency. Others argue for the maximum punishment. So what to do? Arjuna is being confronted with that. On the one hand, Krishna is arguing he should kill Ashvatthama. Bhima, his brother, will also argue for that course of action. But on the other hand, others, like Draupadi, are arguing for leniency based on different conditions. They're saying, no, he should not be killed. After all, he's the son of a Brahmana. He's the son of your teacher. His mother would be very upset if he were killed. I don't want her to suffer like that. So ultimately, Krishna is going to tell Arjuna, okay, now what are you going to do? How are you going to satisfy Draupadi? How are you going to satisfy me and Bhima? And we're going to find that Arjuna detects what Krishna actually intends. So he cuts off the beard and the hair of Ashvatthama. In other words, he makes him ridiculous. He kills him in a sense without killing him, by destroying his reputation and position of honor in society. And in that way, he satisfies both parties to the satisfaction of the Lord. So it's a lesson for us, because we're often going to be confronted with situations like this, either as bystanders just having an opinion, or as a person who actually has to make a decision in a case like this. So it's interesting what happens in this particular case, and it's a lesson for us. So that's one point. Another point that Srila Prabhupada makes in this purport is that Krishna was testing Arjuna's sense of duty. And Srila Prabhupada makes the point that other devotees have also been tested by Krishna in a similar way. He mentions, for example, Prahlad Maharaj, who was a young saintly boy, very much a devotee, but born in the family of demons. Actually, his father, Hiranyakashipu, was, according to Prahlad Maharaj, a Surya Varya, the best, the most powerful, the most significant of the demoniac personalities in the universe. So, although Prahlad was a devotee of the Lord, he was tested by being in this position of being the son of a great demon who wanted to train him to occupy a similar position as a great asura, a great enemy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prahlad was tested in many ways, but his father even tried to have him killed in so many different ways, but he maintained his position of devotional service, even in the face of these threats and dangers and difficulties that he was into which he was put. And Srila Prabhupada also mentions here the gopis. So the gopis, the cowherd girls of Vrindavan, were very much attracted to Lord Krishna, and Krishna played his flute and attracted them into the forest in the evening to enjoy ultimately the rasa dance with them. So, of course, Krishna had a perfect right to do that. He's the original source of everyone. Mamaivamso jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana. Every individual soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, and by constitution, every soul is the eternal servant of Krishna. Jivara Swarupa Hoy Krishnara Nitya Das. And every soul has its particular loving relationship with Krishna in one of the different rasas or loving relationships. So by constitution, Krishna and the gopis were intended for each other to experience loving exchanges in terms of their eternal relationship. But according to the social point of view, it wasn't approved. So, hearing Krishna's flute, the gopis were attracted to come to him in the middle of the night in the forest of Vrindavan. And when they came to Krishna, Krishna tested them. He said, "Oh, my dear fortunate women, how nice to see you. What brings you out to the forest in the middle of the night? Don't you realize it's very dangerous? There are many dangerous animals here. You could get in big trouble. And what to speak of your relatives? Your relatives must be missing you. They must be hunting for you. Your husbands, your other family members, your children. Aren't you thinking about them?" Actually, Krishna explained to them, the highest duty of a woman is to remain faithful to her husband and perform everything for his satisfaction and take care of their children. So the gopis were very astonished to hear these things coming from Krishna, and at first they maintained some silence, but eventually they spoke. And they explained, "Krishna, why are you speaking this way? We know about the duty of a wife to the husband and children. We know about that. That's very good. But ultimately, you are the supreme husband of everyone, because our eternal relationship is with you, whereas our relationships with the so-called husbands and children and other relatives in this world is temporary. So even if we perfectly satisfied them, still that's not the ultimate goal of life. The ultimate goal of life is to be situated in our loving relationship with you on the eternal platform. So in this way, Krishna was testing the gopis, and they passed the test. Of course, just as in the case of Arjuna, as being mentioned here, there was no real doubt about their love for Krishna and the appropriateness of it. But, just to magnify the issue for us, Krishna arranges these tests for his devotees, whether it's Arjuna or Prahlad Maharaj, or in this case, the gopis. So Arjuna, in this case, by his intelligence, he understands ultimately what Krishna wants him to do, to kill Ashvatthama in a way that he actually isn't killed. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. He gives his devotees the intelligence to understand what he wants, to come to him in the process of devotional service. So those were the thoughts that I had about this purport. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Yes, Maharaj?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Drutakarma Prabhu, for your class. And you mentioned about two situations or two positions one person can take, leniency or strict punishment. So I thought, what depends, what decides in the person, he takes this position or that position. In other words, how would the person who is in favor of leniency, what's his character? And the person who is like really strict and radical in terms of punishment. So in the person, what makes the decision, on what depends he makes this decision or that decision?
There can be many different varieties of explanations for why a person does something, takes a particular position. What I find interesting about the current case, the one here in the Srimad Bhagavatam, all parties are justifying their point of view from the standpoint of their understanding of Dharma. Whether it's Draupadi who's taking the leniency position, or Krishna, at least externally, and Bhima, rather forcefully, taking the other position. They're both justifying their positions from the standpoint of Dharma, the instructions of Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. So there can be situations like that where, the different parties, whether they're taking a position of leniency or taking the maximum punishment point of view, can give some foundation for their opinions or points of view in terms of Dharma. Then there can be situations where people are taking their different points of view for non-dharmic reasons, just because they don't want to see the principles of Dharma upheld. They say, oh, you're just being judgmental, they just want to give an excuse for their own, be lenient with others because they want to be lenient with themselves, so that they can engage in sinful activities or adharmic activities with no punishment. And, there can be cases where someone's arguing for maximum punishment for selfish reasons that are ultimately are perhaps based on envy or, some other factor. So, ultimately, one has to depend upon Krishna, be situated in devotional service, be following the principles, and, trying to have the best interest of everyone at heart, and hopefully, like Arjuna, make the decision that's pleasing to Krishna.
So, seems like externally Arjuna didn't make a decision strictly following what Krishna suggested, but he did something which ultimately changed the position of Krishna and pleased him, not killing the person.
Well, it's stated in the verses, if you read ahead in the verses, it says in one of the upcoming verses that Arjuna could understand from Krishna's statements what he actually wanted. So that's why I cited that verse from the Bhagavad Gita, that Krishna will give the intelligence to come to him, or to come to his actual point of view. So according to the Srimad Bhagavatam, Arjuna, by his intelligence, was able to understand from the different statements that Krishna made what his actual intention was, although he was saying, one thing. I mean, Krishna actually put it to him, okay, now what are you going to do? How are you going to satisfy Draupadi and me and Bhishma? And it's at that point that it says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Arjuna could understand by Krishna's different statements and the whole situation what Krishna actually wanted him to do. So he did that.
So
it was what Krishna wanted. Okay. Yeah.
It was mentioned the sense of duty, and a thought came to my mind for a question that the highest duty of a disciple is to follow the orders of the spiritual master, and there's no question of interpreting or not following or deviating. So there was an instance in which I would like your thought about it, your response. When Srila Prabhupada was leaving this planet, he had a desire that he wanted to go in Parikram and Govardhan, but there were two groups of devotees who were in a dilemma, one of them in favor, another one's unfavored. So, no question of this, because he gives the order, but it's easily for someone says, well, if he gives the order, just go ahead. But the element or the factor of love is involved. So my question is, when love comes to, it is you can disregard Dharma, or like that? Dharma can be disregarded because...
If it's really love on the spiritual platform, transcendental platform, then it is like that. Prema pumarta mahan. Prema is the ultimate goal. There's the other four purusharthas, dharma, artha, karma, moksha, but then prema pumarta mahan. But even then, there are so many considerations that even though prema, love, may be the ultimate consideration, in certain circumstances, even pure devotees who are on that platform will behave according to the principles of Dharma so as not to mislead those who aren't on that platform into performing activities that are against both the principles of prema and ordinary Dharma. So it's a little complicated. The other Maharaj, Amala Bhakta Swami.
Thank you for a very thought-provoking class. Really gets our brains working. The thought that arose in my mind was that by Draupadi saying, "Don't kill him. He's the son of your teacher. He's born as a Brahmin, etc." And showing, as you mentioned, compassion, or as said in the law, mercy, as opposed to justice. And when I think about it, is it really compassion? Is it really kindness? Because if we go back several verses, Srila Prabhupada makes it very clearly that if you do not punish a murderer, we're talking now about not a person who murdered his 5 sons and 1 general, we're talking about a mass murderer who actually murdered hundreds of persons. He went through the barracks and he chopped heads one after another, and out of vengeance, out of hatred. The karmic reaction, according to what Srila Prabhupada mentioned, is that it's going to be very serious for Ashvatthama if he's not killed, if he's not actually punished. Because what happens is that for every head that he chopped, he may have to have his own head chopped off in another birth, one after another. So are we really being compassionate by letting him go, by just out of this affectionate sentiment that we have for the reasons which I have already mentioned? That's the first question that comes. Is it really compassion? Or are we really being harmful to Ashvatthama by allowing him to continue to live, based upon those principles that Prabhupada was mentioning, the Swayambhuva Manu and the Manu Samhitas. There's another principle here that we seem to be escaping us, and that is the fact that we kill someone, we kill a murderer, not just to punish him, to make him feel some pain, but to protect the citizens from him doing the same action again and again. For it's generally said that if a person is a criminal and he's not punished, he's not given some sense of some pain, some withdrawal of pleasures or withdrawal of privileges that he once had, then he is often, in fact it's shown by research, that many of these criminals will go and do the same or many criminal acts again. So the idea is to get them out of society so that they will not do them again. Of course, we have a very unique situation here. If you allow Ashvatthama to continue living and put him in a prison, that doesn't really solve anything, since he still has the Brahmastra and he can be anywhere. So the idea of killing him is to put the Brahmastra out of his charge, out of his hand, which could harm so many human beings. So that's another question that comes in. We punish a person not merely to give him pain, but to put him out of society so that society may function in a healthy, normal, contented fashion, rather than in a fearful anxious, uncertain, and even confused state?
Well, there's something, even in terms of ordinary jurisprudence, called prosecutorial discretion. That although there are a variety of options available to a prosecutor and a judge, they have to decide, which, they have some discretion within, the range of possibilities, and they have to make decisions about that. But in general, say, if we were asked, are we in favor of capital punishment or not? I think we would have to say capital punishment should be there as one of the options available to society, for the reasons that you gave. But each case is still different, and there can be, on the level of just ordinary jurisprudence, what's called prosecutorial discretion, whether to ask for the death penalty in a particular case or not, based on whatever legal considerations are there, or in terms of the more ultimate considerations that we're specifically talking about here, what is ultimately pleasing to Krishna. But the points that you made are certainly valid, and that's why in Vedic civilization, capital punishment is there. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Can't